We are live. I'm gonna do a little Omegle Ask Me Anything live stream again. Not for very long because I got some other stuff I need to work on. But I had fun doing it, and maybe I'll run across some interesting folks. We can talk about some topics. Who knows? But I'm gonna switch up the background here to the Omegle background because people get intimidated by the overall set there that I've got. But I want to see what we get on Omegle today. As usual, I am going to mute the audio until I have verified that the person is not out of their effing mind crazy, because a lot of times they are. Let's see what we get. Politics is always a popular topic. What's up,
Hello.
dude? What's happening?
Nothing much. What do you want to talk about?
Anything. Pick a topic.
You pick a topic. I'll.
All right. How about we'll talk about something that's kind of relevant. You've got politics up there. Let's talk about this the latest school shooting that happened. What's your take on this?
Like in America,
Yeah. Do you guys have
bro.
school shootings where you're at? Is
I'm
that a
in
thing?
India, bro. No, it's not a thing
It's
in
not a thing
India.
in
No.
India. That's
I
good.
mean,
That's good.
yeah, man. We don't have weapons, like a lot of weapons.
Like,
That
just people don't just walk around with weapons, huh?
I mean, it's very hard to get a weapon. Like usually, like you can get it, but it's only if you have a threat or something, right? For
Okay.
self, right? If, for example, someone wants to kill you, and if you are a girl, then you'll have a higher chance of like getting a license then.
Is there a lot of
Mm,
violence in India?
not really. I mean, obviously, there's a mob violence thing. So
Right.
basically, right. So, for example, if there's a mob and they're protesting or some shit, probably don't go there.
Probably don't. That's the right idea. What do you think about the people who do go there? Like, I always talk about this in America where they have like a protest. Like, what are these people
Yeah,
doing on like a Thursday afternoon where they're just like, you know what?
exactly, man.
I'm just leaving everything and I'm going to go do this. Like,
Yeah, exactly. So like if they see a danger, like and they go towards it, like come
yeah, they're
on,
like,
guys,
this is what I need
go.
to do. I need to go get in the middle of that. Like, I just wonder what that mentality is. I don't
I don't
understand
know.
the
I don't
mentality.
understand it either. So unless like in India, right? So if someone wants to protest, right, they have to get a permission, right? And they usually get it. Like if, for example, they'll have to apply for something, and the police will be there, like a lot of security. And
Right,
then I think it's okay. Like you can protest are going to be in control if something happens, right?
right.
But dude, if there's a mob and it's there's no permission, so it's better not to go there.
Yeah, well, I mean, here they don't look, man. These people aren't after permission. They're just pissed off, and they just. I
Yeah,
feel like a lot of the times it has a lot less to do with like the social injustice and more to do with just people want to be assholes and just go out there and rob
exactly.
stores. And they did. They would just had this big case with this kid over here. From last year's protest that killed some people, and it's like everyone expected there to be riots after the verdict, and there was no riot. But there was a couple groups of people who, in different places of the country, that were like, just go smash and grab high end stores. And it's like
Yeah,
it has nothing to do with anything other than greed
yeah.
or just straight up crime. Look, man, laws only apply to people who care about laws. So
Yeah, man, that's the thing, right? Laws are only as good as like if people respect them, right?
yeah,
Otherwise,
right.
like,
Otherwise, it's just a suggestion.
yeah, like, yeah, man. I know you guys have tough over there. Like, you have a lot of school shootings and stuff.
We have a lot of
And
just random acts of violence, I feel like, and it's just increasing. I mean, we had a school shooting yesterday that was a real unfortunate, 15-year-old shot and killed 3 students and wounded 8 other students. And, it's like, I look at it this way, there's victims who got shot, but that kid was most likely the victim of a lot of bullying and a lot of,
Yeah,
aggression toward
man.
him. You don't just wake up on a Tuesday and you're like, yeah, I was gonna have chocolate milk at lunch, but I think I'm gonna shoot everybody. Like, you got pushed
Bro,
to the limit.
yeah, what do you think of like culture, like movies, like these kids, right? These teenagers, like they are obviously at their age, like when they're very vulnerable, right? And
Yeah.
when they see these like these movies and stuff showing like, and they hear stuff, and they
I don't think it has
just
anything
go,
to do with that because it's such a like movies and television are so not real. And I would maybe understand that if we didn't see the real life consequence all the time. Like
right,
people get people can't just sustain gun. I mean they do. People get shot and survive, but like the real world consequence is if you do that, like your life is gone. Like you're done. You're not
I
coming back. But there was in the court case that just happened, this kid got attacked and he, someone hit him in the head with a skateboard, someone kicked him in the head, and the prosecutor in the case made it out to act like those acts are not dangerous. They're like, oh, I mean, he had a gun. I'm like, movies do make it seem like people can just get hit in the freaking head and kicked in the face and they're gonna be
yeah,
fine. You're not gonna be okay. You can't soccer punt
yeah,
heads, like, but I do
I
think to
know.
that extent, like we downplay some violence, but when it comes to stuff like that happening, I think it's just the result of kids being absolutely brutal to other kids. And we don't see it. I talked about this with someone on here yesterday that it's not even like a physical abuse. I think it's like imagine having
Mental.
yeah, imagine that being 15 having a phone with Snapchat and Instagram and Facebook and all of these sources just getting blown up by people who are making fun of you, talking shit, hating you constantly. Like
Yeah, man.
you can't turn it off and they can't unsee it. And they're fragile. I think it eventually they go to school and they don't have to have any interaction. I was talking with someone about this because I'm 38. So I went to school before all of this was even a thing. And look, you had people at school that were like bullies or like assholes to people, and you only had to see them for like a little bit during the day. And then you went home and you never saw that person in your life ever again, right? You
I
only
know what
saw
you
them a
mean.
little bit. And now that person follows you around for the rest of your life on social media, just like,
Oh
hey,
yeah,
fuck you, just typing shit. It's so different. It's yeah,
you're
right.
right.
Like you're like
You're
that
right.
was 18 years ago. It's like fuck you, Steve, and it's like what are
Yeah,
you
yeah, yeah.
doing? But that's kids.
Mhm.
They're growing up in a different world, and I think that parents don't even realize it because the kids won't talk about it. And obviously, this kid got pushed to the
Yeah.
limit. I don't think that any of them just get up and go off on
I mean,
somebody.
I
So
what I used to get to do, like I obviously I experienced bullying, but I used to fight it out. Like I used to like have a fight and like break his nose, break my nose, right? And then obviously stuff happens and then you forget about it, right? And
right,
then you move on. But these
yeah,
kids, like they don't let it out, right? And
right,
they're in the hard and they're keep getting bullied, and they're not
yeah.
letting out. They're not speaking to someone or but they have to let it out in some way.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't.
imagine going to school and like someone has started some kind of stupid rumor about you or posted some stupid picture and they've sent it to
Yeah,
like every single person in the school. And you're like, fuck
yeah.
me. Like what do I do with this? I don't know. I think the
So
solution
what?
is just kids just need to stop being assholes to one another. People need to just
So
be
what do you think?
nice.
Like like there should be a minimum age for social media,
Yeah. I
like
mean,
the voting.
so like they're that's still that comes into kind of the same thing like laws. I mean, there is a minimum age to
Yeah,
have a Facebook account of 13 or something, but
yeah. But
there's
I
no
think it's
stopping
too
them.
low. Like I think they need 14, 15. What do you think? Like, and maybe 16 for I think Yeah, I know it's not realistic,
I
obviously,
think
like
the
even
yeah,
with
and I think the entire I think the whole reason is because they don't want adults to have access to children. That's the whole reason they have like the age limit now. So it's not like you have
yeah.
some 11-year-old girl on there and some 40-year-old dude who's like, "Oh my God,
Yeah,
talk
yeah,
him up."
that thing too.
Right?
Yeah, yeah, that
That
thing
that's the
too.
main reason. They
Okay.
negate the reason of like, well, this 15-year-old is surrounded by 10,000 15-year-olds who hate him. Like that's
Exactly,
not
man.
the, and we can't mitigate that. We can't monitor every conversation that they
May,
have.
maybe like these accounts like these kids make, they need to be, they shouldn't have like all the control. Like their parents should get the access as well. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
okay, yeah, so that makes sense. Like if you want to have a Snapchat, okay, well there's got
Yeah,
to be a parent thing and I can see every message you've ever sent to anybody
yeah,
or
that
received.
yeah, like something like that would
Yeah, that
like I
would
think.
you could look on there and be
uh,
like, okay, you're not going to be freaking sending nudes to somebody. You're not talking mad shit to people,
Exactly.
you
Because I
know.
don't think like kids deserve privacy, right? Until they are 16 or 18 because they're kids.
Well, okay,
Right?
yeah. I mean, that's fair. I mean, 16, you
16.
got
Like
some
I know
freedoms,
like that
but
is,
yeah,
yeah,
I just
yeah. You
saying.
know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think there's more people out there that are the target of like mass bullying through these avenues than that are not. So does it save lives? Does it do, if you're at home and you think your kid is great, he's on the football team, he's popular, everyone likes him, and then you pull up his
Yeah,
phone and you're like, dude, my kid is a total fucking asshole. Like, what? You
yeah,
can't do this to, and they're just constantly
yeah.
bullying
They
people.
have like these expectations from their kid, man. Like these
Yeah.
parents needs to, yeah, man. I think obviously like they have expectations, but sometimes the parent needs to chill out, like to be realistic.
Yeah, you got to be realistic, and some parents are assholes. So, so
Oh yeah.
it's just life. Some people you're like, dude, you suck so hard. Your kids
Yeah, what do you
suck. Your
think of
whole
like
family sucks.
all these teenagers becoming parents too? Like there are some
Yeah,
teenagers who are parents, like like that
that's
is
very
something.
true. Yeah,
Like, I mean, I remember I used to work at Walmart, and this like young lady, like she's very young, and she has a kid. I was like, okay, that is like I don't know, like these guys are even ready for it, right?
yeah, no, that's true. I mean, and just to grow up in this world we live in, it's not even. Sometimes you just wake up and look at what's happening, and you're like, this isn't real life. Like
Yeah.
what is going on right now? This isn't even real. Like I was talking to a guy in here last night, and we were talking about so many different topics, and I was like, at one end of the spectrum, we have like this Ghislaine Maxwell thing, this huge human trafficking trial happening. And then on the
Right.
other end of the world, we have this thing with China happening. And then we
Yeah.
have the COVID virus everywhere. And we have
Yeah.
on the same planet, in the same time on the planet, we have tribes that have never made human contact outside of their tribe, living there, hunter
Yeah.
gatherers. And then we have Joe Exotic. All of these things exist at the same time, and it doesn't seem
Like
real. Like,
it's so unreal, like the times that we live in, right?
right? Doesn't it seem just like this is a weird game, and someone just chose
Yo,
like these random characters to play?
I have a story about the tribes. So, like in India, right? So there is these islands. They're called Andaman and Nicobar Islands, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like it covers the Indian Ocean, like the very like it's like a strip of
Okay.
islands, right?
Yep.
And there are actually tribes living there, and Indian government has banned, like no one can go there because there are tribes living there, and they
Right.
might get diseases, like you know what I mean, from us,
Yeah.
because they don't have antibodies, right?
Right.
A- and that's so interesting. And there was some dumb English tourist, I don't know, like he went there and they chopped his head off or
Oh,
something.
damn. Yeah, that's crazy. And we were talking about that. Like, what does it take to be like, imagine this. You have a tribe that's just is so remote. No one goes there. No one talks to them.
Yeah,
No one's ever been
yeah,
there. And like, you're just flying a plane overhead and you have engine failure and you jump out of the plane and parachute down
uh,
here. And then they're like, dude, that is a freaking god fell from the sky. And then he pulls out this device and talks to other gods. You know, like what? They have no
Yo, yo,
idea.
yo, that would have been such a great movie. You know
Right.
the Lost TV show, Lost TV show.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wish they would have included that part, right?
Yeah, right.
Like
No
even though they,
kidding. How crazy. Isn't it? It's wild to think that in the same time in history, like I feel like human history was pretty much like this all the way across. Everyone was on the same level for
yeah,
most of history. And then
right,
we had
right,
some evolution, and then, you know, one, you got a little technological advance, but then it kind of spread mostly across the world. And right now
yeah,
we live in a world where like all these different things
multilateral.
happen, and you're like, this isn't real. This isn't real life. How do these people exist in the same time? It doesn't make sense. It makes sense at
Yeah,
all.
and the one more thing, like it's the spread of the information now is so fast. Like if something happens, oh, just right away
Well,
someone
yeah, we
tweets
don't care. It
something.
was funny because the guy I was talking to yesterday was from Canada, and I was like, the world is so crazy that they all but just told you UFOs exist, and everyone was like, so,
Yeah, like it's like a
right?
normal thing.
They're like, whatever. What's Kim Kardashian doing?
Whatever.
She's dating Pete Davidson. Really? I need to know more about. You're like, there's aliens outside. They're like, are the aliens dating Kim Kardashian? I don't understand what that has to do with Kim. And you're like, what is happening? There is an asteroid. There's a story, and it just gets brushed over. There's an asteroid coming like 4.9 million miles close to Earth,
Yeah, yeah,
and
I
NASA's
know,
right.
like,
NASA's trying to
and
figure
NASA
out if
have,
they can shoot a rocket at it to deflect it or something.
and the thing is, like, I heard about it. Like and everything fails, right? They can't
Right.
shoot it because it's gonna create a bunch of steroids. Like there is
We're down here
a
like we don't fucking care about this asteroid. We're like, what? No, we don't care about that. Like,
no,
well, you know, who's gonna win this next soccer game? That's what we care about. You know, like, what are we
yeah,
doing? It's so crazy of a time to be alive. All the information's
yeah.
out there, and there's people out there that are all they're doing is watching this asteroid right now. There's like 7 dudes somewhere in a freaking
Mhm.
telescope, just like watching it. They're like,
Yo,
this could
I
end
think
the world.
exactly. But I think like there's a certain point, like when you are worrying about something, but when you're pushed to so much, I think that's what 2020 has done, right? Like
Yeah,
we
right.
like like
They're like, we
it's
don't
like
care.
we don't care. Like even if tomorrow the world is gonna end, like people are gonna be like, yeah, well, they're gonna be updating their status on Snapchat or something.
Right. So weird, man. It's just like at this point, there's almost nothing that they could come out with that we're like, we can't believe that's happening.
Yeah,
No.
I mean,
You
I
know,
would,
tomorrow there's
yeah,
like they're like, well, turns out vampires have been here for a while. We're like, duh. We knew that. Of
yeah,
course vampires. Of course they're
of
vampires. Of
course,
course.
yeah,
We knew
man,
that. I'm like, oh, obviously we can
crazy,
fly.
man.
Of course we can fly. We knew that. Nothing surprises people anymore. We're just like
Nothing
unfazed
at
by
all.
everything. It's just another
And
day.
the world politics, if you look like leaders like Putin, Xi Jinping, right, Modi, Biden, and like these are some, these are like Game of Thrones characters, man.
They
Sudden,
are. They're just like they're like beyond. They're like exaggerated humans. They're
right?
beyond, especially Putin. That dude is so exaggerated of a human
Dude, that
being.
that dude, like he has like the perfect story, right? He was a spy, like
Right.
the main character, and then he like did some shit in Germany, like,
Yeah.
and and then he became a president. Like, wow, man, that's
Yeah, it's
the
like you couldn't even. It's like
James Bond.
you were creating a character in a video game, and you just like put
Exactly.
all the attributes to this way. You're like, that's him.
Yeah,
Where do we send him? Fucking Russia. Send him to Russia. Yeah, fuck yeah. Oh
yeah,
yeah.
man.
And then in America, they're like, what if we take away all of the attributes and make him real old? Yeah, yeah. What's he do? He runs the largest country that's in control of everything. They're
Yeah,
like, that's
Biden,
ridiculous. They're like, what could
Biden.
possibly go wrong? They're like, no one would ever vote for that guy. They're like, of course not. Just put
Of
him
course
there.
not, but
Of
he's
course
there.
not. But no, let's send him. Then we have this crazy guy in North Korea. What do we do with him? Don't tell
Oh
anybody about
yeah,
him.
I forgot about
Like,
that.
yeah, exactly. North Korea exists right now in the same timeline, and they're crazy as fuck, and the people are suffering, and everyone just like just looks the other way. We're like, North what? We don't know what that is. I mean, North
Yeah, man,
Korea
that's
is a
so like
terrifying place.
it's
It's
very terrifying,
it
man.
is,
And
and the world just lets it happen.
yeah, and I heard like I met some people on Omegle, and there was this guy. He wants to visit North Korea, right? Because I'm like, dude, what are you doing?
Man, what are you doing? I heard there was a woman that escaped from North Korea in like 2013. Her and mom escaped, and she lives in America now. And she was on a podcast or two talking about her time there when she was growing up there. And it is absolutely the most She said in America, when she read the book Hunger Games, she legitimately thought it was about North Korea. She goes, that
Yeah,
is
man.
exactly what it's like there. It's death everywhere. Everyone is in a constant state of starvation. There's no power. There's no phones. There's no communication. There's no food. I'm like, this is 2021. This is happening right now. You're like, what is it? What year was that? Like 1500? You're like, no, it's literally today. You're like, what? And they're living like a whole country of people are just over there living. They can look across the border into South Korea that has K-pop.
Yeah.
There's no K-pop in North Korea. It's like, what
You
is
know,
going on?
I think the problem with North Korea and China is like China has some decentralized power, like they have
Right.
a little bit, like because it's so big. But North Korea, the reason it's so small, it's ultimate power. Like the Kim Jong Un, he has like the so it so it's that much brutal. That is the
It's
problem with
so
it.
brutal, man. Yeah, she was saying
Yeah,
like they lack empathy. She was saying like as a child, she could remember walking down to the river with her friend and seeing another kid there who was starved to the point that his flesh was just missing from his body. He was literally sitting there with his organs exposed, begging for food. And she goes, there's no empathy. You don't feel anything for that person. Like they're just not even there. And I'm like, what is the fuck? She goes, that's just everyone. That you're surrounded by death. You do not care. It doesn't bother you. No empathy for people. I'm like, that is wild to think like people are out there right now living like that. It's
yeah,
so
man.
crazy. It doesn't
Uh,
feel like the real world. Like it's so crazy. So, what do you think about the metaverse? What do you think about that? Follow this whole thing over there?
the Facebook thing.
Yeah, the whole like we're gonna have a world of inside of VR now. Like, who's gonna regulate that?
Bro, I think it's like too early. I think it's it's like Elon Musk saying we are going to colonize Mars by 2030. I think it's
Right.
you know what I mean.
Yeah. It,
It's
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 it's to me, it's like it's gonna be like the movie Free Guy. Everyone's gonna put a headset on. It's gonna be fucking Grand Theft Auto 5 inside of that thing.
yeah. I mean, I can see that in future, obviously,
Yeah. They're like, what
but
do you want to do? I want to rob banks and get bitches. I'm gonna put this headset on. It's gonna be
people,
unparalleled chaos.
people are gonna be buying sex dolls or some shit,
Yeah, they're
and they're
gonna.
gonna be
Oh,
doing
it's
some
gonna be
all
so crazy. I also thought it's
bro,
funny. You brought up Mars. I think it's funny that I was talking to this guy. I said, so Elon Musk is trying to get to Mars. And
right?
here you have a man who has arguably taken a group of people, the smartest people that he could find, and have
Yeah.
created technology that surpasses anything that we've had so far in automobiles, in battery and solar technology, and all this shit. And he wants to go to Mars. And the best technology to get there is just giant fucking rocket. Like that's it. Like how do we get there?
Uh,
We just giant rocket. Like that's
yeah,
the
man.
best we can do so far. It's funny. That has
You
not
know,
changed at all. The technology in rockets really hasn't. It's like, all right, what do we need? We need a lot of gas, a lot of fuel, and send it. You know?
just send it,
Just
send
send it.
it.
Just launch it
Yeah,
up there.
yo, I really liked his. He said something about terraforming Mars, right? We are gonna
Right.
send nukes, right? I was like, yo, he might be onto something, and we have all these nukes, right?
Man, why
Russia,
not?
India, US, right? But here you go.
But how do we get it there? I don't know. Just giant Giant, follow me, giant cylinder, put fuel in it and just light it. Like a bottle rocket, but just big. like like we did in the 60s. Yeah, but yeah, that's all we got. That's all we got.
Yeah, man.
There's no new technology. I mean, obviously they can land the boosters and stuff, which is impressive. But
Yeah.
at the core of it, it's the giant fireball that we're just
Rocket.
gonna hope makes it there. It's so crazy.
Yeah, I mean it's so there are that's gonna be crazy, man. I mean, uh, I
We'll
don't
see
know,
it in
like
our lifetime. We'll see. We'll see at
I
least
hope
see
I
him attempt to go to Mars. Whether or not they
yeah.
make it there, I don't know. I mean,
I think they'll make it. Like I mean, I'm not sure about like humans making it.
right,
Like
right. I mean, somehow they've got images from Mars and a little drone
yeah,
helicopter, but I
yeah,
don't get
yeah,
cell
yeah,
phone signals 6 miles from here for some reason. You know, they're sending me
yeah.
high resolution images from
Like
50
even India
billion
sent a
miles.
rocket to Mars, right? So I'm
Everyone's
sure they'll
like,
like get
man, how do you do that? How do you just point and shoot it out there? And you're like, it'll get there. Like,
it'll get there.
wrap your
They
head
they do
around
some
that. How
they
did
do
they
some
do it?
calculations and stuff like
What calculation? What are you
like
doing? Come on.
it's like
Calculation.
it's when the Earth is rotating, right, and when the it's closest to
Bro,
Mars, and
we are a speck of a speck on a rock in a giant universe. And you're telling me that one of these little specks of dust has formulated a calculation and has looked up there and was like, I know how to get there. You're like, you
yeah,
know how
man.
to get there. Of all the things, you figured that out. Okay. Dude, light any rocket and try to predict where it goes. Good luck. If I can make, man, how do you get there? How do you get there? You just point and shoot.
I
It's so
pointed to
crazy. You said. Wait a second.
yeah,
First of
man,
all, it's rotating around the sun at like a
yeah.
bazillion miles an hour. It's really
Man,
far away, and you just
it's far away.
somehow you just get there. I don't know.
The thing about this is, right, they don't really have to like use the rocket power like all the way there.
Well, no,
They just
because once it gets
they
going a billion miles
yeah,
an hour, it's going. It's no stopping it.
yeah,
You
because in
know,
space there is no air resistance and
right?
nothing, no.
There's no resistance, so they
Like
just
if you just send something with this speed, it's gonna keep traveling with that speed.
yeah, but like you don't have to be off by but just this little itty bitty bit, and you just miss a planet by like a lot.
Yeah,
you
man, that's
know,
the thing. It needs to be so accurate. That is
right?
crazy, man.
And that seems so like just far fetched to believe that we figured that out. I get us like shooting stuff outside of Earth and it just goes, and we're like, oh yeah, this is where I wanted it to go. It makes perfect sense. But man, you can be off by like 0.0000001 degrees and you've missed Mars completely.
Exactly.
But now
Exactly.
they figured it out. I don't know. Someone should be in there piloting it and just flying it around. But
Like a plane.
yeah, like a plane. But they're going to be up there
Yeah,
for like it's going to take like 8 months or something to get there, like a long time.
yeah. A
How are they going
long
to
time. Yeah.
survive that long? I don't know.
Yeah, man. That's the thing. Elon Musk has to answer, right? Like, how are they gonna produce oxygen? How are they gonna produce food, man? Like,
I
that is
don't
gonna be
know. Put them in a coma. You put them in a coma. You put them to sleep. That's the best way to go to Mars. That's the best
hibernation.
way. Yeah, dude. No one wants to be bored for 6 months in space. What are you doing? What are you doing?
Yeah,
I don't
man.
know. I don't know. It's
Induced coma, like induced coma. That
yeah.
is
You take the red pill and then you wake up 5 months and see if you're
that
at
is so.
Mars yet.
Yo, have you seen that movie? I don't know. Like, there was a movie with Jennifer Lawrence, right? And
Oh yeah, I don't think I watched that. It was the one in space. Was it her and George Clooney or something?
I don't know. Like, there was this guy. He's a very famous guy. You know Jimmy Kimmel? I think he has the fight with him. Like, what's his name?
Let's see. Jennifer Lawrence movies. It was called Passengers.
Travel, passenger, yeah,
Yeah,
passenger.
it was Chris Pratt. Yeah, okay, Chris
Yeah,
Pratt.
Chris Pratt, man.
I didn't see
That
that
guy
movie.
is, yo, in that movie, you know what happens? So he wakes up from the hibernation mode, right? And it's like it's gonna take them 100 years to go their destination. So
Right.
he realizes that now he doesn't know how to go back to hibernation mode, so he's gonna die,
Oh,
right?
it
So you know
sucks.
what he does? He wakes up the most hottest girl, Jennifer Lawrence. Just
You know
yo,
what?
that is
I'm going out. Might as well get one last nut in before I go.
yo, that is so funny, man. Like,
Ugh.
and they both die, obviously, but
That's gonna happen. That's real life. That's real life. That's
yo,
what
that's
I
so
listen. That's
funny.
what any guy would do.
Me too. Like,
They're
I
like,
would do the
oh,
same
I
thing.
am so fucked. What should I do? All right, well, she's hot. Let's wake her up.
Like, around. Yeah,
Does she know how to fix this solution? No, but she's gonna look great
no,
naked. So let's go with that one.
that's cool, man. That's so that's so funny, dude.
Not the real world. It is. It is the
Uh,
real world. It's happening right now. It's so ridiculous, man.
like, it's the every guy's, the fantasy, right? To be
Sure. Every guy's fantasy is to awake from a coma with no time
no,
and
with
no
the
chance to
hottest
live
girl.
and just to
No, no,
wake
no,
up
no.
with the hottest girl. Okay.
Hottest girl, man.
Yeah.
Like the apocalypse. Like if
It's the
everyone dies
apocalypse.
except you and all the girls.
You and Jennifer Lawrence are the only two left.
Yeah,
You're like,
that is
ah.
the
You're over
that
here
is
like, man, I'm the luckiest guy to be in this situation. And she's like, fuck!
yo, she'll be like fuck for a few months and then
Yeah,
she'll realize like
right. She did
but
not
she
wake
has
up next to Chris Hemsworth, okay? That's all I'm saying. She woke up next to
true.
Bob from the Dollar Tree. You're like, damn it.
Bro, she's gonna be thirsty, she's gonna be
She, I
feeling
mean,
the hormones. Like
dude, that's what men think. Women are like, I don't need sex ever again. Like, I didn't need you before. I don't need you now, motherfucker.
oh yeah, man.
Oh,
That is so
God.
crazy, yo. But you know the thing about I realized, right? Being lesbians, if girls are getting satisfied, right, by
Mhm.
themselves, like yo, what's gonna happen to us, man?
They don't need men. They don't need them.
Like they don't need men.
I used to do a joke premise about this when I was doing stand up that was like women are doing everything that men do, right? So that they fought for equality and now they're getting jobs, they're going to the
They're doing
gym,
more.
they're working out, they're getting strong, they're learning new skills. They don't need you in the least bit, man. Your time is up, bro. You better fucking
Yeah,
figure it
man, that's
out.
kind of crazy, yo.
They used to need you around to like move a couch. Now they're like, I got this. They're over there
Yo, the
deadlifting
thing is,
400
funny thing
pounds.
is, I think sometime from now, like I'm sure they'll design, because they are working with the genes and stuff, right?
Right?
And they'll reproduce, they'll without men, right? At some
I
point.
mean, look, man, dudes are just out there spreading their seed for free, so they're gonna collect it when
Yo,
they're gonna
imagine
need
like
you.
evolution, like imagine if that happens because of the evolution, right? Men just disappear. Like
Just
at certain
disappear.
like
I mean,
evolution, like
Joe
how many
Rogan did
years
say it
from now,
best. He's like, women make all the people. Women
right?
make all the people that have ever been made come from women,
Yeah, man.
right? Men have made no people. We're
Men have
there,
made
but
enough,
if they can just figure out a way to make the
right?
people without you having to get
Then what are we
naked,
good for?
then we're done. We're done
Dude,
for.
dude, I so much envy women. Like they can have multiple orgasms, right?
All of
So
them.
I
Man.
asked this girl, like, how many times she can masturbate, like without taking a break, and she's like 10. I was like,
Oh
yeah,
man.
oh my god, dude.
You're
I was
like,
like, oh, dude, what is this?
man, some women got it made, man. Women are figuring it out, aren't they? They're figuring it out. Like they're like, you know what? I don't have to do anything except be mildly attractive.
right.
and I will be rich beyond my wildest dreams if
And
I
they
can
can
just
produce dopamine,
promote
right?
this. Yeah,
And they can just produce dopamine like 10 times, like regularly with masturbation.
they
Like,
figured it
imagine
out,
that.
man. They're living their best life. They found a way to make, obviously I don't think that the whole sexualization of women should have ever been like frowned upon. They should just be able to live their best life, do what they want to
Yeah.
do. But at this point in life, they can do whatever they go out. They can create a website on a freaking account on a website and make millions of dollars for just living their best life. And
Yo,
men,
tell me, I'm gonna give me an example, right? I'm just gonna give you a situation. Tell me what's gonna happen. Imagine
okay,
if in a country like Norway or like, some rich European country, and there are more lesbians, and government has to enforce policies. What do you think of that? Like, oh,
I
dude,
think I
that'd be
think
so
there would
crazy.
be I think there would be a uprising of Wonder Women, and they would just take over. You're gonna be like, well, we thought it was a good idea, but there are women out there with spears. They look angry and they're tough. Like, oh, we're not going out there. Look, man, you don't want to be around your girlfriend when she's angry or your wife. You're like, oh, she's real mad. I'm staying
Yeah,
away. Imagine like a
yeah,
bunch of
man.
them grouped together.
Dude, even sister, man, like, my big sister, when she used to get mad, like, even she is doesn't say anything, right? I can see it in her eyes, bro. Like, fuck, get out of here.
Right?
Like, run, run, run.
Oh man, you're like,
Yeah,
yikes. Imagine pissing off like a whole population of women. Yikes. They
yeah,
would be
man.
a force to be reckoned with. We're over here worried about like war with China or war with North Korea. Nah,
They're,
man, you need to worry about these groups of women getting together, banding together against men.
yo,
They're gonna
imagine
come. They're
like
coming
they
for you,
start taking
man.
slaves as a
Dude, no dude is gonna be opposed to that. They're like, tell me what you want, mommy. So they're gonna line up.
Jesus. Yeah,
They're
that is
like,
so
wait,
funny.
wait, you mean a bunch of women are kidnapping men and making them do what they want? You're like, where do I sign up for this? I don't fucking, where do they get them?
Yo,
Like at
that's
Walmart? To get them at Walmart? You don't,
oh,
I'll be right back. I forgot something at Walmart. Men are dumb. Look, women don't want to be kidnapped. Men, you tell me, find me one dude that says,
yeah,
they're like, hey, there's a bunch of women kidnapping men for sex trafficking. They're like,
yeah.
what time? What time are they coming? Like, dude, there's gonna be a line of dudes at the corner. They're like, I
I
was
know, I
told
know.
they're kidnapped
But
dudes
like,
here.
at the start it's gonna be attractive, right? I get you. Like,
Yeah.
because it's so like I think humans are attracted towards things that they cannot get, right? And the idea of them having slaves to women. But like, at the start it will be attractive, but as time goes by, like it won't be. You know
Well,
what I
yeah, of
mean?
course. Yeah, no one
Right?
should have slaves, like realistically. But I'm just theoretically thinking this from a premise. It's funny.
Yeah.
It is funny. Like women, if you flip the script on it, it's weird. Like guys, we treat it so differently from men to women socially. It's hilarious. I know Joe Rogan had a bit about it. He was talking about Harvey Weinstein and all this gross stuff that women did with him to get movie roles, and he had that joke that's like, if it was Henrietta Weinstein, you're like, listen,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be Batman. You're like, you got to do what? Yeah, you got to just pick up the fat rolls and go to town. You're like, all right, bro. Well, gonna be
Yeah, man.
Batman,
That is
and everyone be like, hell yeah, you're gonna be Batman. We wouldn't care. But when it's women, it's very different. We treat it very differently, and either way, it should be looked upon the same. Like, that's not okay. But we just socially look at things differently.
yeah, man. That is so fucked up.
It's fucked up. It's fucked up. It's fucked up, man. It is.
Yeah.
Now you've got women who want to be dudes and dudes who want to be women. So
Yo,
because
what do you think of that? Like, like that, well, like this is like some crazy stuff, man. Like, I don't know. Like,
I was
I'm
talking to the guy yesterday and I was like, it was never a thing really before. It seems very new to us. They're telling us that it's always been a thing. But I feel
I'm
like
gonna
in the
I'm
70s
gonna
when
tell you
people were
like a
doing a bunch of
controversial opinion.
drugs, I don't know, man. I think in the 70s when people were doing a bunch of drugs and been free spirit and fucking everybody, they would have been like, dude, I want to be a woman. And they'd have been like, fucking do it. I want to be a man. And it would have happened. But now it's like, oh no, it's like this huge, I don't know, man. I don't care what people want to do with their life. If they want to, if you want to live, if you want to be a woman, be a woman. I don't care.
Yo, I'm gonna
It's
ask
just
you
weird.
something, right? Like, I'm not gonna like. I might sound asshole or like racist or say homophobic as well, but I'm
Okay.
gonna say it because like that's what I just want a clarification on that, right? So for example, like as a humans, right, animals, like there are males and females, so they can pass their genes, they can
Right.
reproduce, right? So that's why. So if there aren't males, like if there is a transgender, like would it be considered will it be considered them like as a defect? Like I'm not saying
I see
to
what you're
hurt their
saying.
feelings, you know
I
what
see what
I'm
you're
saying?
saying. Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I mean, it where I have a problem with it is when they impose it upon kids. I'm not okay with that. So when they're giving kids hormones, testosterone, they're like 3 years old. They're like, my
Yeah,
three
man,
year
that is
old was born a boy, but
they
clearly
are
wants
doing
to
to
be a
kids,
girl.
bro. I didn't even knew that. Holy
Yeah,
shit.
that's a big deal. It's real controversial over here because they're giving kids like
Like
injections and they're altering their
kids can't even
life.
vote. How can they can decide their own
Dude,
gender?
that
Like, how?
kid can't even write. What are you talking about? They don't even fucking know math. They don't know how to spell testosterone. And they're over there like, well, my son was clearly born in the wrong body. He's a woman. And you're like, what?
Jesus,
That's a real
Jesus.
thing, man. It's so crazy. It's wild. I do think at some point we probably shouldn't like force the gender role. So like for instance, blue is boy, pink is girl. Boys can't
I
wear
don't believe
pink.
that. Yeah, you
Right.
can be like
Right. So like,
I'm
forcing
okay
the
with
gender
sex too.
stereotype is kind of
Yeah.
overboard, but when you start telling me that your freaking 4-year old is transgender, I'm gonna have a problem. We need to, you
Right,
know,
right, right.
we're
Yeah,
gonna
that's
fight. I don't know what else to
right,
do
right,
with you. I
right,
wanna
right.
choke you a little bit. So it's
Yo,
weird, but the world is just weird. Like it's not real. This is
yo,
not.
what is your opinion on gender and sex, man? Like this guy I was talking, or like I was talking to this guy, right? And like gender is different and sex is like, what do you mean?
It's
Dude, this
not.
I
It
don't get that
doesn't.
argument.
I don't know. I don't
I'm
know how people look. How did you even come to this thought? You're sitting at home by yourself, for sure. You're not sitting around with a
right.
group of other like-minded individuals coming up with this. You're at home and you're
Yeah.
like, you know what? I haven't been on a date in like 4 years. Maybe I don't like women. Maybe I am a woman.
Yeah,
I
I mean,
could be a
I don't
woman.
get it. Like,
I don't
that's
know. I don't know. I don't know. I do believe that people have like like obviously if you're a man and you're just sexually attracted to other men, that's one thing. If you're a
that
woman
is one thing,
sexually
yeah.
attracted to other women, I think that that is something that most people probably, I would say that it's not a choice.
Okay. Yeah, like
I
even
don't
in
think that that's
India,
a
right?
choice. I think
In
that
India,
people are legitimately born with a genetic disposition to a
exactly,
sexual
exactly.
attraction toward
Yeah,
either
yeah.
men or women.
Uh,
I don't know if
I
that
don't
means
know.
that you should try to tell me that you're going to become a woman so that you
Yeah,
can
exactly.
fuck
That is the
guys.
problem. Yeah, yeah, that is the problem. Right? Attraction is a different thing because even in ancient Indian temples, right? You find these scriptures, right? And there are paintings, like obviously homosexual,
Right.
lesbians, everything is there, right? And you can see it. But like, dude, I can get the attraction and the lust, like whatever the thing is. But like, how can you came to conclusion just because you are
Yeah.
attracted to man?
I'm with
You
you on
must be a
that.
woman.
I don't understand it, and it's I don't think I'll ever like be able to really wrap my head around that because to me it doesn't make sense. I think that people their sexual um preference is not
Yes,
necessarily a choice. I think that they are like programmed chemically to be attracted to what you're attracted to. Obviously, even
exactly.
even people who are straight men and women aren't always just because I like women doesn't mean I like all women. There are people out there
Right.
you look at and you go, I just that does nothing for me. I'm not interested in this woman. I'm interested in this woman. But you know, and
Yeah,
that's a chemical thing. It's a physical. I see it. I experience it. I'm attracted to that. I think that that's the same thing for people who are gay or lesbian or whatever you're attracted to. But I don't think that you should go and force this whole social change across society because you want to fuck dudes or women.
yeah. Do you think it's a hypocritical in a way, like it's because they are assuming you can only be attracted to men if you're a woman, right?
No, right.
Right? You know what I'm saying?
I know
Like,
what
for
you're saying.
example, if right, like if I'm attracted to a man, I can only be a woman, so that's why I'm going to change my gender, right?
Yeah, I don't know. It
That
just
is so
it's so
fucking
weird because I don't feel like in
hypocritical.
history that this was ever a thing. And they're like, well, we just couldn't talk about it. People didn't come. I'm like, bullshit. People have always spoken their mind. Maybe it wasn't
Like
popular opinion, but there'd be somewhere where they were like, yeah, that
even in
happened.
Rome, right? Rome was famous for this, right? The homosexuality and stuff.
Yeah. The Romans were just a wild group of folks, man.
Those
They were
were like
just
they like fucking.
man, Romans were savage beasts of people. Like overall, to
Yeah,
be like one of the top civilizations of the period, they lived
yeah.
such a just savage life, man. Sex
That
and
was like
blood and violence and just outright just a crazy time to be alive. And it was like the people on top were the only ones who benefited from any of it. And everyone else
yeah.
was just a part of the shit show. It was, you know, when I at least watched Spartacus TV show and they depicted Rome perfectly. Just
Yeah, man, it was
sex,
too much
blood, and
sex.
gore.
Yo, I like these Spartacus. Like they had some of the best sex scenes.
Yeah, dude, they had the best just I mean depiction of that time frame, I think. It was so violent and gory and bloody and savagery and it was all of it wrapped into one, you know, and people loved
Right,
it. Like
right.
you could imagine the Colosseum being exactly like that. Like people just
Yeah,
there
yeah.
just rooting on, hoping for death, you know, and meanwhile like your
Yeah, like
life.
they were just living their deepest desires.
Yeah. And then how did that just go away?
Just
How
like
did
that.
how did that just all of a sudden we don't do that anymore? Now we're,
Because
you know,
because
we
of
moved
these
on.
religion, because of the religion heavy cult, the Mughals, the Mongols,
Yeah.
right? And right, because they had very protectionist religious beliefs, right? They were very
Right.
conservative. Yeah, and
Man.
it all went away.
It's so wild to think about all the civilizations that have been on Earth, like, and how they just didn't make it. And we're just in one small little bubble that seems like really advanced because of technology right now. But it's
Yeah.
not that it hasn't been that long. I premised this
Mm.
to the guy I was talking to. I thought about this before as I was driving around with my kids and stuff, and I look outside and just think that every single thing that you see out there came from below the earth. Like none of this existed that long ago, right? We
Yeah.
pulled it out of the ground and made all of this shit recently, like real recently.
Yeah, that's true. Very
You know,
recently, like phones, man,
within
and
60 years, we've created this vast amount of stuff that didn't
technology just
exist.
went like boom, man.
Straight
Like
up. Yeah,
yeah,
straight up. And now you would think that at some point it has to come crashing down. Like I feel like in history there were civilizations that had to have had some kind of spike, and then all of a sudden they were gone. Like the a whole group of people just gone. And our explanation is, well, they just didn't make it. You know, you're like, what the fuck? They built fucking pyramids. They built these giant temples. They
so
accomplished a whole civilization of shit with hundreds of thousands of people, and then they were just gone. You're like,
yo,
what?
what like have you seen the Peaky Blinders?
Yeah,
There's a very famous dialogue that Thomas Shelby says, right? The only way to prevent war is to make the prospect of war hopeless, right?
right.
And and that is very true to today's world, right? Because of nuclear weapons, right? And
Yeah,
right, and all these in those times there was no. how should I say, like the scary prospect of war. Like there
Right.
was no, right, like today it exists. So what is your thought? Like, do you really think like
We laughed.
it's like
I laughed last night in this conversation because the guy I was talking to, he's like, people who are just hunter gatherers who like have no communication with the outside world, they will be the ones left when the shit hits the fan and we wipe out countries of people, nations of people. These people
yeah,
are unaffected by everything that happens in
right,
modern society. He's like, so
yeah,
imagine just like we have World War III, we wipe out 6 billion people, and there's like 400 people on an island somewhere who are impervious to this, and that's just the start of the next civilization. You've
yo, it's
wiped out
all gonna take,
everything. They get on a
yo,
boat and they're like, huh, wonder what happened here.
it's I think, yo, those guys will just die with the flu, man. Like they don't even have
No,
antibodies.
they've made it this long, dude. They've made it so far, right? Like,
Yeah,
it's not going to happen overnight. It'll be like 200 years from now. One of them's like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get on I'm going to swim. I'm going to go over there. I've never been, no one, and they're like, no one's ever been there. And you're like, I'm going. And you go, and then you come back and you're like, you're not going to believe this. I think there's fucking aliens over there. Aliens are like,
I
dude,
mean,
you should see it. There's fucking shit everywhere and it's fucked. There was so long ago, and then they just start over. It's just like us going to some ancient artifact. You're like, we're over here with planes, rocket ships, cell phones, internet, and we're like, how did they build this thing? You're like, it's a pyramid. Yeah, but how'd they build it? We have
yo,
no idea how they
what
built
do you
it.
think? Yo, what do you think of this theory? Like Earth wasn't our home. Like we lived in some other planet, right?
Makes perfect
And that,
sense.
and then we just came to Earth, like some of the humans, and then
It makes perfect. There's a video on YouTube. Let me see if I can find it. It's going to take you a little time to watch it, but it is
yeah,
fascinating, and it's called "There Are No Forests on Earth." There are no forests on Earth, and it is. Let me find the video because it is fascinating. It's got to still be on YouTube. It has to be.
yeah,
Um, there are no forests on Earth. And it's about all of these giant land masses, and it's translated too into English about how all of these there's like we think there's a forest, but the tallest
yeah,
trees on Earth are only like 150 feet tall. He's like,
right.
why are there no we know that there used to be big shit on Earth, but now there's
Earth's like
not.
very perfect. Like it's too good to be true, right? It's
Yeah.
almost like someone planned it out, like humans.
Well, he argues that these things are giant tree stumps, like the Devil's Tower. There's across the planet there are these big structures that are
Yeah,
perfectly flat across the top, and they're
yeah,
shaped like a fucking tree that was just cut. And
right,
the premise is that these used to be ancient trees, and there used to be large people or beings that lived here, and trees were 300 feet tall, 400 feet tall. And it's like,
right.
okay, what happened to them? And if you look around, it's a fascinating view on Earth. All of these places on Earth that are perfectly like excavated, that have been
Right.
there for thousands of years. You're like,
Yeah.
interesting. But we're just, in today's world, we're like, that ain't real. Whatever.
Yeah.
You
Like
know?
it's people think it's a very I think it's a foreign idea, right? Like
Right.
we right, the Earth wasn't our home. It's
Yeah.
always been.
Yeah. It's wild. It makes sense. Honestly, I think it kind of makes sense at some point. There are no this is it right here. Bam, I found it. It's on
Yeah.
Facebook. Maybe it got pulled off of YouTube. Let me see if I can copy this link here. And
Yeah.
you can peruse it. It's fascinating to watch because it's like a documentary and it's all these
Yeah.
places on Earth and it makes perfect sense. It makes so much sense. You're like, what? Okay.
Yo, It's yeah, I'll watch. I'm gonna save this.
Save it and just peruse it one night when you're
Yeah,
like, huh, this is
it's like
interesting.
a movie.
It's like
Yeah, it's a very nice.
yeah, it's long, but it's full of
Yeah,
fascinating ideas and
yeah,
stuff. And you're like, wow. And then you walk around and you're like, that makes sense. Why is everything so small? Why is everything perfectly scaled to our life? Nothing's
yeah.
really too big naturally. Yeah, trees are just the right height.
Y- Yo, what do you think of these like introducing a dopamine thing, right? Dopamine educational subject, and when in like on teenagers, like because all these things, right? Drinking, smoking,
Right,
drugs, they give you dopamine boost. That's what it is, right? And you can get that boost from all sort of like masturbation, sex, and stuff. Like there are healthy ways to get it,
right,
right?
right.
Right? And obviously there are unhealthy ways to get it, but those are very fast and quick, but it depletes over time. So for example, if you are doing coke, you'll get 400% dopamine, right? And it will decrease over time. So like at first it will be 400%, then 300, like
Right.
if you're using it. But about sex, like sex is you get 200% and it never depletes, right?
Okay. Well, that's because your
And
body's
like if
producing it naturally versus,
yeah, right. And if
injecting
you
it
go
or
to
putting it
gym,
in your body.
and if you go to gym, and if you do exercises, right, and you get natural satisfaction, like for example you finish your homework and you get whenever you get dopamine from that, and it is also like it never depletes. Like obviously
Right.
it's not that high compared to coke, right?
Right.
But sex is very high. Like sex goes
Well,
up
yeah,
to
it makes
200.
people feel really good. Like you
Yeah.
feel like you can
And
accomplish shit. It pulls you out of a
yes.
depression state. That's why I
and
say
and
people who
yeah.
are depressed, you should go to the gym and work out because just the physical of act of doing it and moving your
Yeah,
body and being difficult, your brain just takes that depression and goes, "Fuck, we ain't got time to be depressed." You start
exactly.
producing these
Good
chemicals.
hormones.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and people are trying to find a alternate way to basically
And
just be. And I'm not really a fan of people being medicated you know, in terms of like dealing with that. Like I've dealt with depression recently. I'm not a person, like, well, maybe you should take some medication for that. I'm like, that is not the answer. I didn't experience this before. It's because of actions of things that have happened in my life that have made me feel this way. And the best
right,
thing you can do is face it and just go, all right, well, let's go do something. I don't want to get out of bed. Okay, well, the first thing you need to do is get out of bed and go do
right,
something
right,
that makes you feel better. There's
right,
something to
right.
be said about just like someone just needs a hug. Just give
Yeah,
someone
exactly.
a
So
hug.
I have also experienced depression, but it was a very different kind. For example, for me, like I'm a writer, right? I do write fantasy writing. So like I was in a state, I had an infatuation with someone, right? And then I felt very strongly, even though I knew that wasn't right, right?
Right.
And it was very depressing state, but I liked it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right? The feeling, those emotions were so high at that time. And I could like, bro, I can visualize these novels just like that, just
Yeah.
because my emotions were so high, right? And like, it is like, if there was a way, right, people to realize that, like, it's not your healthy mind state, right? Your brain is not at your 100%. That's why you're feeling this way, right?
Right.
A lot of people don't realize, they'll just blame themselves. You know what I mean? They're
Yeah.
like, "Mm, it happens to me. Oh, everything happens to me." Like, that kind of thought process. I think that is very wrong, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Just
I see what you're saying.
yeah,
I understand that. I mean, it's something that people don't like to face the sadness.
yeah,
And I found this out like when I got divorced and I was in a relationship for 12 years and I was married for 8 out of 12 and everything was just okay for most of it. Like we had some good times, some bad times. For the most part it was just okay.
right,
And
right,
I realized that you can't be happy without being sad. You can't
Exactly, man. That
experience
no, that
happiness
is the
if
golden
you've
words,
never
bro.
been
Like it,
sad.
yo, those are like, bro, so good. Yo,
Yeah,
those words, man. Like we
it's
should like
true.
copy paste it. Like you cannot feel sad without being happy. You cannot
Right.
like, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
there is no day. Yeah, that thing. But people don't realize that.
They
They always
don't.
think they
They
are.
just want they want to avoid the feelings that are of discomfort. They want to avoid the feelings that make them sad. And they don't want to be like, all right, well, you shouldn't, don't cry about it. You know, it's gonna be fine. You're like, you know what? You need to fully understand what it feels like and
Yeah.
understand that this is part of the journey that you're on. You're gonna
It's
be
not gonna
sad.
last forever.
It
Yeah, it's
won't
not gonna
last
last.
forever. Tomorrow is
Yeah,
a new day. 5 minutes from now, it can be, you can turn it
maybe
around immediately.
maybe it will be, years, maybe months you'll feel that way, but like at some point, like if you take right steps, like there will be new happiness like for you, right?
Yeah, there's a new life out there, and just to look at it and go, well, it's not going to happen to me. No, it hasn't happened to you. Doesn't mean it
Yeah,
won't happen. Now
exactly.
you can guarantee that it won't happen by constantly avoiding progress in your own life. That's a fact. You can
Yeah,
go. I tell people that are content creators or people like, oh well, I'm never going to be that person. Yeah, you know what? You're never going to be that person because you don't record a single video. You don't post a single thing on social media. You don't interact with people.
right,
You don't do anything that the person that you look at and go, well, I can't do that, that they do. They do those things every single day. And
right.
in our society, we only like to see people after they've done it all. And that's
Right.
when we look at it.
Yeah.
I'm going to pull the video right now. That's when we look at it and we go, okay, that person got it all. They did it. They're successful. But you don't want to look at all the fucking shit they ate the whole time to get there. There's a video. I know I saved it. Here it is. I'm gonna play it right here because this is a real deal, man. And I saw it today and I was like, man, this is spot on. Where the fuck is this thing at? I gotta find it now.
Everyone is fighting their own battles, right? Like we think like we had the
So big. Yeah, let me shrink this down. That way I can see it. For some reason, it's humongous on my screen. But I
yeah,
saw this, and I've been a self-employed for almost my entire adult life, and
right.
so I understand this struggle right here. Let me know if you can't hear it too. By the way, let's see.
Nobody's going to believe in you until you've already done it. Nobody's going to come and celebrate with you until
I
you've
can't
already
hear it,
done
but
it.
I can read.
You can't. Oh yeah, you can read it.
The
Okay.
work
Yeah.
is going to come before the belief, which means you're going to have to work for a long fucking time by yourself with no applause, with no awards, with nobody telling you good job. Here's the truth.
That's the truth.
Yeah, man, that is
Everyone
so
wants
true.
to celebrate with you after
Exactly.
you've done it. No one wants to be there
Exactly.
for the
When you have
journey.
exactly. So that's the same way I feel, right? When I write, and it's sometimes very isolating because I'm
Yeah.
working on by myself. I'm
Right.
I'm doing right everything. And like although I want to tell everyone, like I find sometimes like my sister, my friends, and tell them about my chapter, right? I wrote this stuff, right? But a lot of time it's not there, right? I am doing this, writing hundreds of hours and writing, and it's something like I think it's people don't realize like you have to do it on your own, right?
Yeah.
And they just see the fruits of it, like the people who are successful, right?
Yeah, they don't. You don't. We only see the 0.1% of things that actually made it, and we're good at it. We look at people who are successful on YouTube and social media and movies and TV, and you look at The Rock, and you're like, dude, Dwayne Johnson has the best life. You're like, Dwayne Johnson's 50, and he
Come on,
wasn't
bro.
even popular until he was 40 something, and he's been
Like
doing this his whole life.
exactly,
And I
man.
also tell people that are younger that are like, oh man, you know what? You haven't figured it out. You've been doing this long. I'm like, bro, if I'm as successful as Dwayne Johnson at 50 years old, I got 12 years to get there. It's a long time.
Right.
You could do a lot of shit in 12 years.
Yeah, you can do a lot of shit in one day, man.
You can
Like
do a
if you
lot of
get
shit in one
started,
year.
yeah,
You're
you
never
can.
too old to start anything,
Never,
ever.
never, never, never.
But you're gonna
Like
eat a lot of shit. You're gonna eat a lot of shit along the way. There's gonna be a billion no's, and you're going to feel rejected, and it's part of the process. There
And
is no
you
easy
know,
path.
there was a really good quote I read somewhere. So like, I don't know if it was Pluto or something, but he said, right, I can tell people like whatever, like how to get there, right? I can tell like anyone if someone wants to be successful. But most of the times, people don't know what they want.
That's true.
That is the main. That is the main problem, right? Like,
Yeah.
and and the people, they need to like work on that. Like they need to find out like what are their likes and what are their strengths, right?
I think we
And
saw a big shift in the last 2 years. A lot of it, I do think, was pandemic related. But
yeah,
and I'll leave you this because I have to go eat something. I'm getting hungry. But that we see this pop up on social media, the new rich, and it's not that people are trying to create a wealth so that they can buy 1 million cars and have a big ass mansion. It's so that they can live life. They can travel. They can see the world. They can enjoy waking up and just being alive and being
right.
here. And I think that
Yeah.
is that's the new rich. It's not about how many things can you
Yeah.
have. And I was talking to
Tell
this
me.
guy yesterday, and I was like, think about it. You go online and you see these beautiful places across the world that someone was there. They're in some immaculate hotel room overlooking some fucking gorgeous place on earth. And you
Yeah.
will never see that place in your life ever, other than that video. You will never go there.
Right.
You've got
Right.
you could live 50 fucking years from now and you will never go there because you live inside of a bubble where you're just trying not to fall behind on your bills and stress and life and all of this shit. And someone else out
Yeah.
there has figured it out. Like, you know what? None of that's important. I don't need a big house. I don't need a fancy car. I've got enough money in the bank that I can go see this beautiful place and live this moment. And that's where people are going to go. They're going to
The
stop.
memories are the ones
Yeah, the
who like these are
experience.
the rich
People are going to figure it out that that is what the experience is, and they're going to stop going to work. They're going to stop doing jobs that you basically are selling your life for pennies on the dollar. You know, when it comes
right.
down to the reality of it, you work 50 years at a place so that you can enjoy 3 years of your life without having to
That
work.
is so fucked up. Like 40
It's
hours
fucked
a
up.
week,
Yeah.
right?
And
And
you did
like
it
you know,
for $8 an hour. You're like,
so
what?
for me, it's different, right? Because I like writing, right? And if someone is passionate about something like singing, arts, right, or anything that you really like doing, I
Right.
think that's different for them. But obviously, not everyone is like that, right? Everyone,
No.
are,
Well, I think that they could be like that. But
yeah,
you're
they could
told
be.
from a young age that this isn't real. You can't do. Look, I was told growing up you can't play video games all day. And what fuck, man? I'm 38. I watch a kid play video games all day and make $1 billion online. Like
Right,
what? I could have done that. And just like Joe Rogan said before, he's like, well, comedian was never on the list of things I could do growing up. That wasn't a
right.
job. You can't be a comedian.
Now, now you can be a stand-up
You
comedian,
can be
right?
a
You
stand-up
can,
comic, famous across the planet for doing stand-up.
right,
Doesn't mean it's
right.
easy. It just means you can do it. And I think people,
I mean,
once they start accomplishing this
yeah,
mindset, like, you know what? I don't have to do this job. I really enjoy this. And the only problem that I see in the future is that there are jobs out there that absolutely suck. And someone has to still do them because society falls apart without them. And we need, as society, to not look down upon the people that do the job. And we need to go, man, I appreciate the fact that you actually want to do this
doing
job.
that job. Yeah,
Right?
exactly, and pay them accordingly, right?
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's very, very real. Look, people go, oh, you want to grow up to be a garbage man? You don't want to do that, do you? And you're like, okay, well, I'll tell you what, when you put your garbage outside and tomorrow that shit's still out there And then the next day, it doesn't go away because the garbage man's like, "Fuck that, dude. You do it yourself."
I think I don't know if you heard this about in Japan, right? Like there is a garbage man. They did the interview with him, and like, do you enjoy your job? And yeah, I enjoyed it. Like someone asked, like, why do you enjoy it? Like I enjoy the satisfaction I get then when I interact with my customers, right?
Right.
And he enjoyed just talking to like the people, and and I think maybe there are some people like that.
I think that
But
what we will have to see happen if a society progresses the way that I believe it will, which is
yeah,
that the pandemic told people you can stay home, you don't have to go to work, you can make
you
money on
can
the
just
internet, you
yeah,
can do what you want to do, create content, and you can get paid ridiculous amounts of money to do what you love to
right,
do. If you just
right,
suffer for a little bit, if you suffer for a few months, you can figure it
right,
out. And that, okay, if everyone stops going to work and doing the jobs that we don't like because they pay
yeah,
shit money and they'd
yeah,
rather go do something they enjoy, we're going to have to look back at the people that do those jobs and go, you know what? You deserve to make $200,000 a year to pick up my garbage because
right,
I fucking do not want to do it. And I'm glad that you do. And
right,
and I don't, but let's say I make $5 million a year making stupid video game videos on YouTube. And
right,
I don't want to do the trash, but I'm glad you do. So I'm not going to look outside and be like, ha, fucking trash guy. I'm going to be like, thank you for doing that job. I hope you are compensated very well for doing the shitty
right,
job. That's how we're going to have to look at it. We're going to have to change the way that society looks because it used to be you grow up and look, some kids were smart. They're going to go to college. They're going to get a degree. They're going to get a great job. And the kids who weren't
right,
as smart, they're not going to college. You got a list of like 7 jobs you're going to do. You're going
yeah,
to do one of these shitty jobs because you're stupid. But we need that
right,
person. We need that person who doesn't want to go to college, who wants to weld, who wants to take out the garbage, who wants to clean up the streets, who wants to make sure that
yeah,
the world keeps moving with all of our humans being ridiculous. We have to take care of those people. And
yeah,
if we can just change our mindset toward one another and treat everybody with respect, then we will achieve a better world going forward. Because right now we're just dicks to one another for no reason. And we got to change that,
yeah,
you know?
yeah,
But this was a fun conversation. I'm going to eat something. I thoroughly enjoyed talking to you. I hope you find someone else interesting to talk to on Omegle.
yeah,
And
man. You have a nice day,
you
right?
too, buddy. Thanks.
Peace out. Peace out.
Whoa, man. That was like an hour. Man, I've been getting really lucky with Omegle lately. I've found some very interesting people. And if you watched any of this, I do thoroughly appreciate you hanging out with me. I know I don't have many people on my live streams, but working on it. So until next time, I'll see you guys in the next one. Get you some merch. I got some t-shirts to make. I'm hungry. Got to let the dogs out.